stand on guard with David Krayden. There's a big debate going on in the House of Commons today, Tuesday, March 30th, and that's about a public inquiry. Now, the NDP has said that Special Rapporteur David Johnston, former Governor General, former board member of the Pierre Elliott Trudeau Foundation, should resign as that Special Rapporteur because his legal counsel donated $7,000 to the Liberal Party and donated to nobody else. So obviously that makes David Johnston suspect. This kind of people he's hiring, Liberal loyalists, then there's something wrong here. And I think it's the NDP has got to show some principle and some spine and demand a public inquiry today. Nothing less than that is going to be enough.
I'm rising on a question of privilege concerning efforts and actions by officials and agents of the People's Republic of China to interfere with me as a consequence of actions I've taken here, Madam Speaker, on the floor of our House of Commons. On Friday, I received a briefing from the Canadian Security and Intelligence Service, CSIS, which confirmed several matters to me that I will discuss in a few moments. The numerous examples also demonstrate that there was an orchestrated campaign of foreign interference in the 43rd Parliament and into the 2021 general election. The first category of threat is related to foreign funding, specifically the payment of funds by the Chinese Communist Party through the United Front Work Department to create specific products of misinformation on me as a Member of Parliament and as leader of the Conservative Party of Canada. The second category of threat is related to human resources, specifically the use of groups of people working for or aligned with the United Front Work Department in Canada. They were organized and directed by a foreign state to amplify misinformation efforts and undermine my work as a member of this chamber and as leader of a parliamentary caucus. The third category of threat is related to foreign-controlled social media platforms. This category related specifically to the WeChat communications platform and its use to further the aims of the Chinese Communist Party and the United Front Work Department, and their campaign to spread misinformation to undermine and discredit my work in this chamber as the Member of Parliament for Durham and as leader of the official opposition. The final category of threat outlined to me, Madam Speaker, is related to voter suppression. Specifically, intelligence indicated an active campaign of voter suppression against me, the Conservative Party of Canada, and a candidate in one electoral district during the 2021 general election. I must acknowledge at this point, Madam Speaker, that I also believe my privileges as a member and officer of Parliament were infringed by the government's unwillingness or inability to act on intelligence related to foreign interference. The briefing from CSIS confirmed to me what I had suspected for quite some time, that my parliamentary caucus and myself were the target of a sophisticated misinformation and voter suppression campaign orchestrated by the People's Republic of China before and during the 2021 general election.
I also believe that my privileges as a Member of Parliament and Leader of the Opposition have been breached by the government's reluctance to act upon the measure of intelligence relating to foreign interference. The CSIS briefing confirmed to me what I'd long suspected, that my party, several of my members of Parliament and myself were the target of a Chinese orchestrated campaign of disinformation and voter suppression in the run-up to and during the 2021 general election.
Not only were the multiple threats against me and members of my parliamentary caucus not raised to me by the government or security agencies during the 43rd Parliament, but these serious threats were also not communicated to us through the Security and Intelligent Threats to Elections Task Force created by the government in the 43rd Parliament to safeguard our election. The context of the final months of proceedings in this chamber in the 43rd Parliament is also important to consider with respect to my privilege, Madam Speaker. The House at the time was seized with 4 separate document production orders forcing the government to be accountable to this House about what actually happened at the Winnipeg laboratory and the firing of scientists with links to China. I know that you remember at the time, Madam Speaker, because the government forced you into federal court over the issue and forced me, as a member of this chamber and leader of the opposition, to seek intervener status in that proceeding, which ultimately dissolution rendered moot. While denying our privileges as members for disclosure of these documents at the time, the government also denied me and other members of this chamber, including a member in the NDP, knowledge of identified foreign interference threats against us as parliamentarians.
The reason why I'm being targeted is because of my activism in support and to fight for basic human rights. Mr. Speaker, in the last couple of weeks, I have come to learn through a briefing with CSIS. In fact, last Friday, I had a classified briefing with CSIS. And I was briefed on foreign interference, of how I was subjected to it by the Chinese Communist Party. The briefing was very clear to say that I cannot disclose exactly how I was subjected to foreign interference, because that would put in jeopardy the important work the intelligence agency is doing, and that's something I obviously would not want to jeopardize. And so to that end, I'm not able to share, and I'm not at liberty to share with exactly what is happening, how it is happening, with regard to my being targeted. However, CSIS did make it clear that I am subject to foreign interference and will continue to be a target. Foreign interference is happening. It is happening whether you're someone who is in support of the Chinese Communist Party, or someone who's ambivalent about it, or someone who's opposed to their policies. You could be targeted and be subject to foreign interference. And what we also know is that this could happen prior to, during an election, as well as any period outside of that. And we're seeing that unfold, Mr. Speaker. And for those of us who are outspoken and have concerns about basic human rights, the genocide of the Uyghurs who voted in support of the motion in this House, in that regard, the erosion of the basic law in Hong Kong, the imposition of the national security law, as examples, we need to be ever vigilant of attempts of foreign interference actors working to coerce, to co-opt, to reorient, to neutralize, or even to try and silence our voices.
I hope you're enjoying this channel as much as I enjoy putting the material on here. This is not just about politics. I sing some of my favorite songs from the Great American Songbook. And you can also watch my latest show where we do some of the news you're not going to hear anywhere else. But please like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. If you want to be part of this station, please be a subscriber. We want you.